Welcome back. It's Dr. Jen Ferboni, better known as DocJenFit, doctor of physical therapy. And I want to talk to you about hip popping, especially when you're doing core exercises, because I hear this a lot. Now, we've actually done a podcast episode to kind of highlight what exactly is happening in the hip when we're hearing that hip popping. So we're going to have that linked up if you want to understand a little bit more of where that pop is kind of coming from, what that indicates within the hip, and not to be afraid of it. But I want to show you some modifications that you can quickly use whether you're on your back or you're in a plank. So when you're laying on your back, this is the one that I hear, complained about a lot, is that maybe you're doing more like dead bug style things. You're moving in that lower body and you're feeling a hip click, or you're hearing a noise pop every single time that you do something moving the legs up and down. So first of all, I want to say, okay, how are you setting yourself up? Let's go back to the setup, because if that rib cage is kind of flaring up and the back is lifting every time that we move, then we don't have a solid setup. The whole intention about using core, especially when we're on our back, is that we have a stable base from our trunk and our hips are moving without anything moving in our trunk. So we shouldn't have any movement happening here. So let's try to set that up. So what I like to do is take a deep breath in from my low rib cage. As I breathe in, I want to feel that my rib cage is going to expand. And as I breathe out, that rib cage will start to come down toward my pelvis as I think of my pelvic floor kind of lifting up, elevating up toward my rib cage, and I'm flattening hip bone to hip bone. I'm not pushing my back into the ground and tilting my pelvis, okay? What I'm doing is I'm focusing more on the muscles that surround, so my obliques that come along my rib cage and allow my rib cage to kind of flatten down. My transverse abdominis that's going to kind of corset and squeeze across my hip bones, and my pelvic floor that's going to help to contract that bottom layer of the core. So again, it's an inhale, exhale, flattening. Nothing moved. My pelvis didn't move, but I'm now connected and I can feel that core come on. Right inside my hip bones, I feel tightness. I feel everything, and I can keep breathing. So as I breathe, I can still expand from the sides of my rib cage, but in a more controlled manner. I have tightness and tension everywhere. This is what I want to maintain as I now move my legs. Okay. So the goal here is whatever exercise I was doing, can I maintain this? If it starts to waver and I'm starting to move my body more, something else needs to change. And that's when I say, okay, say we're doing leg drops, like a deadlift. First of all, peep your setup. Okay. Do your setup. Now slow down the movement. Don't just drop in the legs and try to get it down as fast as possible. Oftentimes that's going to cause some dropping in the pelvis. Slow down the movement. So go down really slow, control it, almost like I'm going to squeeze my glutes and then pull from my core to come back up. My core is working as it moves away from me and comes back up. Core work, especially stabilized core work, should not be about getting it done as fast as possible, dropping and repping it up. It's about control. How much control do I have in my core as my extremities move away from me? Now, if that is still too difficult and you're noticing that you're really wanting to lift and move that pelvis, move that rib cage, then I want you to modify the movement. So now get that set up, everything locked into place, drop the feet down, and then move from the ground rather than from the top of the movement. Okay, so this is modifying and changing that movement pattern. Isn't like you're degressing and regressing the movement. It's just I'm changing how I'm doing it so I feel a better effect. That's what we want to create. Okay, we don't need to worry about how advanced it is, but it's how it's feeling within your body. The same thing applies if I flip over onto a plank position and I'm doing mountain climbers. This is another one that people complain a lot to me that I'm feeling hip popping and I'm hearing noises. To combat that, let's set you up correctly. Press through the shoulder blades, walk the feet out, get that rib cage, expand, pulling hip bone to hip bone, and we stay. This is a stable position I want to start from. So if you're just coming out onto your hands and knees and not really worrying about a setup, we need to press from the shoulder blades, breathe from that rib cage, and set that rib cage in line with the pelvis. This already is going to set me up in a better position. Now, if I'm still hearing it as I'm moving in and out, I want to slow down that movement. So just going one and then the other. It doesn't have to be very fast, especially if the point is core. If the point is cardio, then maybe I'm just not going as I'm still wanting to go fast, but I'm just making smaller movements here. Okay. But you can get core and cardio at the same time as long as we set you up correctly. If this is too difficult being on a lower surface, the setup feels like it's really putting a lot of strain and stress on your back or your shoulders, elevate the surface. Go onto a chair or a bench or an elevated surface. You're going to get so much more benefit if we set you up correctly. And then that is how we modify that movement for a mountain climber rather than having to be on the floor. So make sure your setup is solid, slow down the movement, modify the movement if needed. I'm telling you, these 3 things are going to make a world of a difference. You're not going to hear any popping and you're going to feel way more benefits within your core. Comment below and let me know if these changes have really helped set you up and you're feeling something and hearing something different. Don't forget, if you love what you're learning, I have so much more in stock for you. So hit that subscribe button, check out the other videos I've done in the past, and leave any comments of any suggestions that you have for videos in the future. And I can't wait to help you feel incredible and amazing within your body.